What's going on? You're watching Progressive Pulse. I'm Steve Rodriguez, and we are here in New York City at the New World Stages. And the New World Stages, just a little brief history about this, houses 5 theaters in it. It's kind of a new modern way of looking at theater, and we are featuring Celia, the life and music of Celia Cruz, a new musical that's here just off Broadway that really focuses on the icon Celia Cruz herself. We're going to talk to a couple of the cast members, plus the choreographer, Maria Torres, that are going to give us a little bit more insight about the legacy of Celia Cruz and this amazing musical here in New York City, Celia.
Celia Cruz.
What is my name?
Celia Cruz.
Para servir a usted y a usted. What is my name?
Celia Cruz.
¿Cómo me llamo yo? ¡Para arriba, Pacheco! ¿Cuál es mi nombre?
Celia Cruz.
I'm telling her story. You know, Xiomara sings and I basically do the acting. And it's the way I kind of figured out after a while, after reading the script, going, well, why mujer? Why the woman?
Well, I am not going to do it. I am not going to give him 3 minutes. Rogelio, por favor, give me the song to Burundanga.
Celia.
Give me the music, Rogelio, por favor.
Rogelio, no.
Now you tell him that we forgot the music.
It's because it's the role, the part of Celia that no one really knew, the mujer that no one really knew. Only Pedro knew, and those closest to her, you know. There was another part of Celia outside of the stage, and so I have the privilege to tell that story.
Did you have to do any sort of research to kind of get into her?
Well, my story was that I came into the production 6 days before they opened. So I had to really, they had the privilege of working on this for 2 months, and I had, you know, I think a night to learn the script. I got the role on a Thursday night, and I performed on a Friday night, and then on Saturday in another language. So, you know, it's learning 2 scripts. And I don't know how that happened. The only thing I can say, and I always say when people ask me, is I was blessed. I feel that Celia was present, is present, and continues to guide me and guide everyone on this stage.
One of the things about the show that some people might not know is that you perform it in English and in Spanish, so it's not only, talk about learning a lot.
It's interesting because when I first got the script, I said, I'm going to learn it in Spanish. I'm going to learn it in Spanish, and then I'm just going to translate in my head, you know, because I had little time.
Let me make this very clear for you. That man is not my president. He was not elected. That man did not let me go back to my country to bury my own mother. Y me ha separado a mí de mi familia. ¿Por qué no van y le preguntan a él que qué piensa de Celia Cruz?
We have performances in where sometimes we come on stage and we'll start out in speaking Spanish and we'll realize, oh my God, this is an English performance, you know, and we recover. But we have moments, and all the actors, I can say that we all have had our moments where we've had that slip or that look in our eyes like, what language is this again, you know? But it's because, you know, it just switches. Like on the weekends, we do 1 show in English and 1 show in Spanish on the same day. You know what I mean? So your mind is still working on another language and you have to force it. It's really interesting.
So tell me a little bit about your role, because you have a really integral role in this production.
Yeah, my role is Kike, the Pedro Knight's nurse, and I become his friend and confidant, so to speak, throughout the play. And as he tells me details of his life with Celia, I get to learn this great deal, not only about Celia, the artist, the entertainer, but Celia, the woman behind closed doors. So, and through this narration is that the play happens, that everything comes to stage.
There are a couple scenes, actually, in Celia where both of you, 2 men, have very emotional, almost breakdowns that's the whole audience feels.
I think it's amazing. I think it's beautiful that the audience gets to see, gets to hear and see, experience a love story through the eyes of a man, a Latino man who's been portrayed in many other ways stereotypically, and now you see a sensitive man who's not afraid to cry next to his nurse in his last days, and a nurse that gets to share that in a father-son type of relationship.
Now you get to perform, actually, sing in this production. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I get the great opportunity of singing with Miss Xiomara Laugard, who's an amazing talent, and Yeah, we do this tune called Cucala, in which I pretend to be Ismael Rivera, a great salsero, and it's a great number. It's flirty, it's suggestive. So I recommend everybody come see it because it's quite a fun time.
So what was the initial concept? Because when you talk about the legacy of Celia Cruz, how did you, I mean, there's so many layers to her. There's the music, there's the, and then her story.
Yeah. Well, the playwrights, their vision was to be able to introduce her life story through her husband's eyes. Because in reality, these two people were inseparable to the day that she died. We worked really hard at being able to give people snippets of the key moments that happened in her life that gave her the opportunity to be the singer that she knew that she could have been, and being a black Cuban Latina in those days, to be a headliner of a band as famous as La Sonora Matancera was unheard of. So she was breaking boundaries from the moment that she, became the lead singer, and we wanted to showcase all of those things that this woman's had passion for singing. I got to work with her. When I was a kid, my first job was with Celia Cruz at Madison Square Garden. And then I remember at 19 being hired to be the headliner with my dance troupe, and because we danced and sang, to open up for Celia Cruz, and we went to Colombia, and we toured Colombia. And I remember Pedro Knight, La Sonora Matancera, Johnny Pacheco, it was all of us. It was like an amazing opportunity to be up close and personal with this woman. And I'll never forget that she was like a mom to everybody. That's number one. And so, but that her energy and her love was felt whether we were performing in front of hundreds of people, thousands, because every night there was these huge concerts. And then we would go to these little local clubs where there was maybe 20, and the energy was the same. And she made sure that she made contact with each and every person.
Does the orchestra and the band members, do they feel like they're a character almost? Because usually, a band would be in the pit and you don't see them, but they're almost characters themselves every night.
No, absolutely, because it was such an integral part of her life. And actually, our musical director was her musical director for 20 years. So there's a special bond that's surrounding this musical. It's not your norm where you go and you hire all the different entities and you put them together, and we all go on that journey of discovering how to make this script come to life. It wasn't like that. It was a combination of that, as well as actually bringing people together. Like the hair designer was actually the hairstylist and and makeup person for Celia Cruz for many years. So that's another thing that, to me, all of the key people, David Maldonado, one of the producers, was traveled with her when he was younger. So there's a lot of connections. I mean, me, when I came in, who knew? It's like I feel like sort of in some strange good sort of way that Celia kind of put these people together to create something that was magical.
People in the beginning are like, well, why two women to tell the story? And I always say, Celia was such an amazing human being that not one person could tell her life. You need to be able to have someone to do the singing, which Xiomara sings 27 songs a night, you know what I mean? 8 shows a week, that is a lot. And then all the singing, the acting, and I hope that the public, likes it.